Hi everyone, my name's Sophia,
My name is Hank.
and welcome to You Know Me So Well. So, the earth is healing because we are getting back into our I don't even know what these episodes are called. The guide episodes, the ones where we tell you how to deal with stuff. And
The
today
ones where we give you advice that we don't follow in our own lives.
Hey, okay, wait, no. No. I follow this. Well, actually, I don't know. Anyways, point is, yeah, we're giving you advice today, and this one is specifically on ghosting. I feel like if you are a human being who interacts with human beings that you are sexually or romantically attracted to, you probably have experienced ghosting of some sort or found yourself in a situation where you felt the need to ghost someone. It kind of goes both ways. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to basically kind of talk about what to do if you've been ghosted and what to do if you find yourself in a situation where you're like, I want to ghost this person. So stick around. Keep this episode in mind if you ever find yourself in the situation, like in the future, because I feel like if you're listening to it right now, it may not stick, but we're going to try and ingrain it in your brain, but it may not stick now, so you can always come back when you find yourself in either situation. But before we do that, I want to talk about some stuff. So, number one, we have recently, we like have a bunch of fun TikToks. A lot of these TikToks are TikToks that we filmed when we were getting ready for the whole rebrand. We did our rebrand photo shoot, we did our breakup photo shoot, and then in addition to that, we filmed a ton of TikToks, and they're like fun TikToks poking fun at our situation. And recently, I decided to take these TikToks and put them onto YouTube Shorts, which I had no prior experience with, and honestly, I didn't even know people used YouTube Shorts until one day I was sitting on a plane with this guy and we were having a conversation, and this man just like randomly like mentions with no thought at all that he watches stuff on YouTube Shorts. And I was like, huh. So I guess there are people who are watching it. And indeed there are, because our TikToks put on YouTube Shorts have been getting quite a few views and some very interesting commentary, okay? The people on YouTube Shorts do not hold back, okay? They are an unhinged group. I can't explain what's going on there. I can't explain what the demographic is either, but they are unhinged. We have had some interesting comments, I will say that much. And yeah, it's a funny thing to see. So if you want to go see what people have been saying, you can find our YouTube channel. It's You Know Me So Well podcast. You'll see all the shorts and you'll see the comments that people have. Yeah, it's a little bit of a zoo in there. I try and ignore it because I'm the one who like does the whole facilitating of like putting them up and checking and everything. But at some point I was like, I simply can't look at this because otherwise it's just like I'm scared. You know, like I feel like we're really in the public eye now, you know? So anyways, it's been interesting to say the least. So there's that. The other thing is yesterday I had a very interesting interaction on LinkedIn out of all places. So this guy added me, right? And I really didn't think too much of it because he had like sociology student in his bio, and at this point like I have so many LinkedIn connections and requests and stuff like that I will add anyone who looks like a normal human being who's not trying to sell me anything. Because also the fun thing about having this podcast and my YouTube channel is that I have people request me and then they try to sell me like products for our podcast or for my YouTube channel. They're like, we can help you grow your viewership or listenership, and I'm like, okay, just leave me be. Like, we'll figure that out on our own. But anyways, seemed like a normal human being. Then I add him and he messages me and he's like, really like your videos, like thanks for the ad. And I was like, oh, thank you, like I appreciate it. And then this man proceeds to continue the conversation. And at that point I was like, it feels like this man is hitting on me, but I'm not really sure what's going on because I've never had this experience on LinkedIn of all places, you know? And if he watches my videos, like I'm sure he could find my Instagram instead. So anyways, the conversation continues. I'm like replying pretty frequently to it. Like not a lot of time elapses between our messages. So he's like, oh, I hope your internship's going well. I was like, thanks. Like, hope your PhD is going well, because I realized he's a PhD student at Berkeley. And then I went to lunch and I came back and I was like, all right, let's see what's up with this man. Let's see what he's had to say. So he had responded to my message, but when I opened up the message, his profile was completely gone and it just said LinkedIn member. And I was like, okay, so did this man like block me or unadd me? Like, I couldn't find him anywhere in my like LinkedIn connections. So I don't really know what happened there. I mean, it was an interaction to say the least. I mean, I don't even know. I don't even know what was going on there. And like, what was the point of the interaction too? Like, why are you going to start a conversation with me and then unadd me? Like, I don't know who you are, you know? So anyways, yeah, that was the experience I had yesterday. Hank, any interesting stories you have to tell?
Not at all. My life literally just consists of pretty much working and working out right now. I start school in like 5 days, which is crazy. I guess by the time this episode comes out, I will be like in the thick of like it, I guess.
Into the thick of it. Isn't that the the TikTok sound from a really long time ago? No? Okay. I'm sure someone knows what I'm talking about. Yeah, just leave it be. Leave it be, okay? All right. With that being said, I think we can get into the episode now. So I wanted to start. Oh, guys. So I wrote up my notes for this episode a really, really long time ago, and I guess I didn't completely finish it because I just started reading through it, and I don't know what I'm saying in this. But anyways, I think the idea was I was gonna first define ghosting, which I feel like most people know, but I never wrote out a definition. So Hank, together we're gonna try and define ghosting for our audience.
It's like if you are talking to someone of like someone you are like sexually or like romantically attracted to, and you guys have been talking back and forth for a while, and then you or the other person just completely stops responding with no explanation, and they just stop talking to you, and yeah, that's ghosting.
Yeah, I feel like I have to add, I feel like ghosting becomes a bigger issue when it's someone that you were like seeing or like seriously talking to. Like if it's someone that you just kind of like started a conversation with, like maybe off of a dating app, you know, you guys like talked back and forth maybe like 10 times. I feel like that's obviously you might have like already an emotional connection to them, but I feel like that's a lot less serious than like if you were seeing someone and maybe even sleeping with them and then they just vanished. So I feel like when I was writing out my notes, I was thinking more about this is someone that you're a little bit more serious with, you know? I feel like one of the biggest things with ghosting is I think as you become more experienced with dating and hooking up and you have more and more experiences being ghosted, which is so unfortunate, but it happens. Like it's just a natural thing. And if you haven't had that experience, well, good for you. Good for you, because I don't know. Personally, I've had that experience multiple times. I'm sure Hank has too. So anyways, but what I was getting at is I feel like as you grow older and you experience it more, it just becomes less and less of a problem. I just remember like before I started dating Hank and I was like hanging out with guys or whatever, like talking to them, I definitely would get a lot more like offended, I guess, when they ghosted me, or like I'd have more of an emotional reaction. Whereas like now if someone ghosts me, it's kind of like maybe I have like a moment where I'm like, okay, what the hell? But after that, I haven't really had that experience. Yeah, anyway, so like I have my moment, but it's not like it's not as strong of a reaction as it used to be. Just saying that. Okay, so first I wanted to talk about what to do if you have been ghosted. So the number one thing to do is to not engage, okay? I know sometimes, you know, we feel the need to try and like prove something. Maybe we think like, oh, if I reach out again, they'll like re-engage. And like, sure, could that happen? Totally. But also, I feel like you just have to kind of take what you're given and go with it and then react that way. Because if they're like truly interested, they'll come back. And also they wouldn't have ghosted you. That's the other thing. Like ghosting happens for a reason. So yeah, I don't care how badly you want to prove something to that person or get revenge or whatever you want to do. They ghosted you for a reason. The best thing you can do for yourself is to let it go and don't engage. You have to understand that when someone ghosts you, it's their way of saying, I don't care about you and I want nothing to do with you. And that really sucks, like it does. But I hope that message just like makes it a little bit easier because it's your time to walk away. The best thing you can do in return is give them absolute silence. Another thing to keep in mind is that if someone is ghosting you, and I mean this, as I was explaining, in the way that it's a more serious situation, like you've been seeing them or you've been talking seriously, that actually just demonstrates their lack of maturity. A mature human being will make a point to at least like close off the situation and give you a little bit of an explanation. An immature human being will just get scared and walk away. So it really is like a maturity thing as well. And that's why I feel like as you grow older, you see it happen maybe less or less, and you also react to it less and less. So anyways, if you find yourself in the situation where you've been ghosted, I want you to come back to this episode and do the following. So first off, delete their messages. Delete it on every device you own, your phone, your computer, whatever devices you have the messages on. Just delete it, get rid of it. You can delete their contact. I would recommend that too, because then you don't have like easy access to reaching out to them if you ever feel the urge to. You can even block their number if you're feeling that. I mean, that's like an extra step that isn't necessarily necessary. And also I feel like if they do end up reaching out to you and they realize they're blocked, it could create some tension if you ever happen to run into them at some point in your life. But anyways, then if you have them on any social platforms, I want you to unfollow them as well, unadd them, block them if you want. Again, I already mentioned the blocking thing. But the point is just to like get rid of their presence for good so you don't feel the need to reach out again, or you don't have the means to do so. I guess with social media, it's like there's always a way, but with like the phone number thing, I feel like once you delete someone's contact, it's like unless you wrote their number somewhere, they're kind of gone, you know? Once you remove them from your life, it's time to give yourself a moment to grieve, to be sad, to be angry, whatever emotions you feel. Being ghosted sucks. And even if you didn't have a super strong connection to that person, it still hurts. Don't be mad at yourself for feeling something towards it. Just let yourself be. In that time, I want you to do whatever you need to do to eventually feel better, whether that's cry, play your heartbreak playlist, whatever it is. But I also want you to do something good for yourself. Get yourself flowers, treat yourself to your favorite meal, get out and get some exercise. So back when I would have a much stronger emotional reaction, and I was also had never been in a relationship before, I created this thing called the 1-day pass. So there was this one day where it wasn't even, anyways, this guy basically ghosted me. And I was like, what in the world? Like, why would this man do this to me? And it hurt. It sucked. Like, I was going through a little mini heartbreak there. Did I ever see anything happening with this man? Absolutely not. Was this man of any use in my life? No. But I was hurt. And so I told myself, okay, I'm not going to sulk about this forever. That's really unproductive. But I'm also not going to be mad at myself for feeling the way I feel. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give myself this 1-day pass. I created this little heartbreak playlist called the 1-day pass. It had all these little heartbreak songs, you know, the ones that you like would cry to, except that I'm the type of person who doesn't really cry usually when I'm heartbroken, so I just kind of listen to it and feel. So I created this playlist. I did that. I listened to it. I had my moment. Then I went and bought myself some flowers as little pick-me-up. Like, I just kind of dealt with the emotions as they came, let myself feel, and after that day, I told myself, okay, we're not really looking back anymore. We're just going to move on. And obviously, it's like you may still continue feeling. Like, I'm not saying that you curb your feelings there and you tell yourself you can't feel anymore. But I think just like having a day to kind of let it out, to just like have your moment and just be sad, be mad, be whatever is important to help you move on, and also to kind of avoid going back to the situation and trying to like make things work again. Another thing is don't try to get back at them in other ways or seek their attention. Don't purposely post things on social media that you're hoping to catch their attention with. Most likely, you'll end up getting your feelings hurt when they don't react, because chances are if they ghosted you, they ghosted you for good. You know, like posting things are not really going to bring them back to life. Don't try to get their attention. Oh, don't try and get with any of their friends at any capacity. Okay. That's just no, no, no. Walk away from them for good. Go find someone else. Like if you need to let out the frustration, like go find another man or woman, but don't get with their friends. If you have mutual friends, don't try and get them to act as a messenger between the two of you. Again, the person who ghosted you probably doesn't care. They're probably going to realize that you're seeking their attention, and it's just not going to it's not going to look great. Okay. It's just not. So I think the ultimate goal when getting ghosted is just to fully remove yourself and to carry on. Silence is honestly the best answer you can give. And this is when being ghosted. This is when going no contact. Like, it's a message. You may think it's not a message, but it's a message in itself. And the message is, okay, I see what you did, but like, I don't care as well. So, and also the likelihood of them coming back is higher, but also don't like do it for that either. You know, like fully move on, fully carry on. Okay. You don't want that person. If they screwed you over once, you don't want them to screw you over another time. So yeah, whatever spite you may feel for them should be poured into something productive and not harmful. So use it to drive yourself in your career, academics, get back out there, keep dating, meeting people. Use it as a reminder to do good stuff for yourself. Again, don't get too discouraged in terms of dating and hooking up either. Like, it's going to happen. That doesn't mean you're not going to find someone eventually, or you never know. Like if you give up now, it's like, what if the next person you meet is the person that you end up with? Who knows? So don't let it like discourage you from dating and getting back out there either. And then also, like I said, with time maturity, becoming ghosted becomes less of a personal thing. So cut yourself some slack and know that you're just becoming more resilient to the experience as it happens.
All right, a lot of this is going to be kind of going off of what Sophia said. We have some very similar, like, ideals, or not ideals, but like thoughts on ghosting. But the first thing is, it's okay. It's a canon event. Every single person in the world, if you're someone who's dating a lot or just like talk to a lot of different people, you've ghosted someone, you've been ghosted. It's just the way the world works, and it's okay. Like it happens to everyone. It's not like a reflection. It's not really a reflection on you. It's more like a reflection on them. Like you didn't do anything wrong. It's not that like
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Just want to cut it and say like emphasis on it's not you, it's them. Like don't try and dig deep and try and figure out what you did wrong or what part of you is wrong. Like it's not you, okay? Just walk away from that idea and carry on.
right, right. It's like there could be any number of reasons that they ghosted you. Maybe they just decided all of a sudden it wasn't happening. They just didn't feel it. It doesn't have anything to do with you. It's not. There's nothing wrong with you. It's just sometimes people get ghosted. It is what it is. And at the end of the day, it also just like if someone ghosts you, you can like be sad about it. Of course, like that's understandable, especially if you like really like this person. But, like it wasn't meant to be if you get ghosted. Like I really like Sophia's thing about like the 1 day pass or whatever. Take it. You can be sad for a minute. Get your feelings out, and then you take it and move on. It is what it is. Now, a very specific situation. If they ghost you for someone else, they ghost you in order to get with someone specifically, you definitely don't want them, and that's definitely not the type of person you want to like pursue something more with or like want to be in like a relationship with. Like the whole time they were talking to you, they were clearly hung up on this like other person. If they just like ghost you out of nowhere for this other person, and it's like, even if eventually they'd come around to you, would you have wanted someone who was just like
sees you like a second choice?
Right, and just like kind of talking to you until like maybe the other person or someone better came around. Like that's not really that wouldn't be a relationship that you would really be happy then at the end of the day. Like it's not necessarily the start of a healthy relationship. If they come back around eventually, you should be very careful about giving them another chance. And more often than not, you probably just shouldn't. They ghosted you for a reason in the first place. That's always going to be something that like, unless they had like a ridiculously good reason for it, like the ghosting you is always going to be something that like it's always going to be like a stain on the relationship. It's always going to add like another thing of, okay, you did this once, you know, who says you won't do it again? And it really just is what it is, you know, as much as you may want them to come back around, it's not going to be a good situation if it does. Like, and at the end of the day, like when that kind of first situation happens where maybe they just don't respond for a day and you're like, huh, am I like getting ghosted right now? You just need to accept it. Don't be like, maybe they're just on vacation or something. No, it's not happening. And even if they were on like vacation or something, if they really like cared about like making time to talk to you, they still would like maybe like text you at least a couple times throughout the day. Like they wouldn't just like completely ghost you and just like not respond to you the entire time. You know, if someone wanted to talk to you, they would just like try to talk.
Yeah, I think that's all really great advice that complemented what I had to say. So I'm glad that you touched on that kind of stuff. With that being said, we're going to have a little intermission with a fun story time that actually, unfortunately, may feed some people's delusions, but don't take it that way, okay? It's just a funny story. So a while back when Hank and I had just gotten out of a relationship and I thought it would be a good idea to talk to other guys, which emphasis on it wasn't. But anyways, so there was a guy like I met on a dating app. Of course, we had like a little small talk conversation. He asks for my number, right? I give him my number. He texts me. He texts me at night and I'd been doing something else that night. And so I didn't respond until the next morning. So I respond and I don't hear from him anymore. Okay. This was like, let's say this was like end of May, end of May, right? So whatever, it's not like I really had like a connection to him. And so I just kind of was like, okay, interesting. I mean, that was really quick to ghost, but totally. Slay queen. Couple weeks later, okay, I'm in Nashville at this point. So I was back home, then I was in Nashville. This was probably 2-3 weeks later. This man comes back, like rises from the dead and texts me again. And I'm like, what in the world? It's like, what is this? And his text goes, I'm so sorry for not responding. I was in a really bad boating accident. And I guess like something happened. Like he got majorly injured. He was in the hospital, like whole thing. And I'm just like, oh my gosh. Like that is just the craziest thing to happen. And also like, I can't believe he came back and was like, yeah, sorry. Like, I'm kind of cut up right now and everything, but just wanted to respond to you again. So I thought that was really funny. In the moment, I was just like, I was so shocked. I was so shocked by the whole thing. And also, like, that's too good to be like an excuse because how does that even happen? So yeah. And then I think we talked for a little bit afterwards and that was the end of it. Like, I don't know if I ghosted him or he ghosted me or the conversation just fizzled out basically, but I thought that was really funny. So little fun intermission. Okay, with that being said, we move over to the flip side of you find yourself in the situation where you're talking to someone or you're seeing someone, you're like, I just don't see this going anywhere. I just don't really want to continue this. So, and you're thinking, what in the world do I do? And the first idea you get is, let me ghost them. My biggest recommendation is don't ghost them. And this comes back to the whole maturity thing. Like, it may seem like the obvious answer, but it's not. So I know you're thinking, Sophia, you completely misled me. Like, I'm here for you to justify that I ghost them. Don't worry, I'm going to give you advice. I'm here for y'all. But also, like, from experience, I'm telling this to you as an experienced human being, like, just don't ghost. And here's why. While in theory it may seem great, while ghosting can seem like a great idea in theory in terms of getting rid of someone in your life, it can also go horribly wrong. And it can also be a really difficult thing to do. So kind of coming back to sort of the flip side where it's like someone being ghosted may feel the need to reach out and justify it. There's a good chance, well, not a good chance, but there's a chance that if you ghost someone, they're going to come back and they're going to keep coming back. And it's kind of going to turn into an awkward situation where if you have any like morals, you may find yourself in that situation where you're like, oh, shoot, like now I feel bad because they keep reaching out and I feel like I should text them back. And then that kind of just defeats the whole purpose of like ghosting because ghosting is just vanishing for good. This is from personal experience. There was someone I was seeing for a while and I just hit this realization where I was like, I just don't this isn't working out. I don't want to do this anymore. And I attempted to ghost them, and then they kept reaching out. And at some point I was like, okay, now I feel really bad because they clearly are still interested, and like I can't just like leave them like this. So I did eventually go back and like explain the situation, do a little send off, and it was all good after that. But anyways, so I think just like in this scenario, you kind of have to think of yourself, or you need to put yourself in the other person's shoes and just kind of think about like, if you were in that situation, how would you feel if someone just straight up ghosted you? I think you need to spare them a little. It's just like a nice thing you can do, and it's a mature thing you can do. And if you want to prove your maturity to other people, to yourself, and to the world, then take this matter and do something with it. So instead of full on ghosting them, I recommend you write a little message to them, keep it short and sweet, explain that you're not interested anymore, wish them the best of luck, give them something to leave with so that they know why you're walking away. You can choose to give them a little explanation or not. They may ask for one, and I do feel like you owe it to them just so that they know and that they can get some closure in the situation. And then if they choose to ghost you after you send that message, that's totally fine. If they lash out on you, that's on them. And then you can stop engaging and not answering. Don't feel like you have to continue the conversation because they're lashing out. You gave them an explanation. Let them take it as they do. And at that point, walk away. Know that taking your feelings around wanting someone out of your life is valid or are valid, but also know that they have feelings as well, and those are valid as well, and at the very least they deserve to know. Like don't say anything bad about them, you know, like kind of take it as it's not you, it's me, even if it may not necessarily be. Just like if you're going to like leave them, you don't know the situation on their end. You don't know whether they formed an emotional connection. You don't know if like they think you're the one, which would be kind of funny, but like you never know what the situation is, so don't like try and put them down in the process when you're already trying to get rid of them.
Right. And then like make sure it's really what you want to do, because like this is like a temporary emotion. It's really quite hard to come back around to someone after ghosting them, because like I talked about when I was when we we're talking about if you've been ghosted, it really just will always kind of leave a stain on like your guys' relationship. And it's also kind of like a messy way to start out in general if you
Yeah.
like do end up having something more happen. So make sure it's really what you want to do. Like don't make a like rash decision on such a thing. Like it's different if like this is like someone you randomly met at like a bar one night and just like you talked for like a day or two. Like it's not that big of a deal in terms of just like making a random decision. Just like someone you've like been hanging out with and just like talking with a lot, and like maybe even been sleeping together. Like make sure it is really like the correct decision and what you've been like, not something you're gonna regret later on. If you're gonna ghost them for a specific person, like if that's you met someone, you know, you want to get in a relationship with this person, all this type of stuff, make sure you're cutting off all situationship like type things with everyone besides the main person. It's just cutting off one person isn't really gonna do anything. You need to like don't be messy, you know, like that's I guess that's what I'm just trying to say. You know, other people have feelings too. You know, don't be messy and don't like just play around a lot.
Yeah, you also never know how people are going to react. Like if they realize that you got into a relationship and they feel as if they were maybe involved like in the process, they may come back to hurt you, you know? So, I mean, obviously I hope that's not the situation, but you really never know how people are going to react, because sometimes people are just angry, and that's the best way that they can deal with their emotions. So, yeah. If you're closing things off, close it off in a good way and be mature about it. Kind of recap, if you find yourself being ghosted, walk away from it, don't engage, leave it be. Don't really try and seek revenge either. Like just kind of take it as your moment to focus on yourself and just move forward in your own life. And if you're on the flip side where you find yourself in a situation where you kind of want to remove someone from your life, don't ghost them. It's as simple as that. All it takes is a short, simple message that's nice. It's a nice message. Just like let the person know why you're walking away. And it does so much good to do that over the harm you can create, because, yeah. like, for example, like with my failed ghosting story, like when I finally sent a little message and I was like, hey, like, look, I had a really great time with you and all that, but I just like am not interested anymore. Like, they ended up coming back and they were like, oh, okay, that's totally fine. Like, I hope we can still be friends. And I was like, oh, like, that's such a sweet message back. Like, the person could have chosen to be angry, but I think maybe knowing what the situation was helped them just, you know, be okay with it. Like, who doesn't want a reason, or who doesn't want to know? Because I think the problem with ghosting, the frustration comes with not knowing what happened and having all these scenarios go through your head, and you're like, was it this, was it that, did I do something wrong, like did I say something wrong, like could I have done something better, you know? It's like you never know, and just having that justification, that closure, just like makes things a little easier for the person who's being ghosted.
And also, as part of the frustration is like it's natural for like when you like during the early stages of getting ghosted to like try and make out all these excuses in your head for why it's like you're not actually getting ghosted, which is also is like a very frustrating thing to like.
Yeah. So, but again, like, don't take it personally. That's, I think, the worst thing you can do, because then you just spend so much time overthinking it and coming up with all these different scenarios, and the likelihood of it being any of those scenarios is like kind of low. You know, you never really know what the situation is. For example, like when I was ending things with that guy, it was like I just wasn't interested in dating anymore. Like, I had hit a wall where I realized, you know what, dating is not, I'm not at the point in my life where I'm ready to like get back into dating. There are other things that are of so much more importance to me right now, like, for example, family, you know, and I just want to be able to focus on that kind of stuff. And it had nothing to do with him. It was just that I needed some time away from the whole thing. So yeah. And then also, with that being said, just kind of coming from the female perspective, for guys, like, I feel like generally girls take things a lot harder than guys do. I mean, I could be wrong, but just, I feel like women tend to have a lot more of an emotional reaction, and even if they didn't have a super strong connection in theory to the guy, like maybe they just hung out with him once or were just talking to him, they likely will feel the effects of being ghosted a lot more than a guy might think they will. Like, they think, you know, but the point is, like, women tend to have a stronger emotional reaction, and just, I feel like knowing that kind of makes it easier to send that message, to say something, and to close it off in a proper manner. And also know, like, if you are going to end up ghosting someone and they come back with a strong emotional reaction, like, that's the reason why, you know? Anyways, I think that's pretty much it from us. Per usual, if you have any questions, comments, thoughts, whatever it is, you can either leave it in our Spotify Q&A section. You can DM us on Instagram at at YKMSW podcast. You can email us, podcast@gmail.com. Like, there's so many different ways that you can get in contact with us, but we'd love to hear from you guys. Like, genuinely, I check our DMs and it's always empty. So please send us a nice little DM. We would love to read it. And yeah, also, other thought we've been kind of thinking about, we're thinking about bringing on guests, and we would love to hear if you guys want to have guests on our podcast and hear from them. This can be any kind of guest, so also tell us if there's a specific type of guest that you would like. Maybe like we were talking about, like, a sex therapist today. That would be kind of funny. So maybe that, or a couples therapist, or whatever it is, or it could be literally anything. Like, you'd be like, I want a sports player. We will try and hunt down a sports player and bring them. Hank is in charge of that, not me. Like, whatever it is, like, let us know and we'll try and make it work. So yeah. Oh, and per usual, follow us on whatever streaming platform you're listening to us on, and hit that notification bell and rate us. I love seeing the little ratings. We have a cute little 5-star rating on Spotify, and we'd love to keep it that way. But also, maybe let's add some more people onto that rating review list. And yeah, with that being said, I think that's all from us, and we will see you in our episode next week. And I'm trying to remember what our episode next week is a fun one. It's based off of a personal experience on my end. Anyways, okay, get excited.